Did that happen? A&M was down 30-3, largest comeback in school history, and they pull it off. Complete reversal of fortune in that second half. What happened?
All I know is I was watching the game at halftime, 30-3, and underneath it was the news that Mike Elko has in the throes of negotiating a new contract, and I'm going, I hope he signs that son of a gun. And the next thing you know, he put together one of the great second halves that any of us will remember. It was a phenomenal, the largest comeback for Texas A&M in their history, and it's the kind of DNA that you add to the equation that helps you play for championships. I mean, it was just a phenomenal second-half effort.
It can invigorate, it can energize, and electrify that locker room. Because you just shown that you have that championship medal. You're not always going to bring your A game, and clearly they didn't have their B or C game in that first half because -9 yards rushing, you had all the turnovers, and yet they flipped the script in that second half, and they went out, and that defense was phenomenal. They shut down South Carolina.
They had to be, right?
They had to be, and they
So
did exactly what they needed to do. And Cassius Howell now most sacks since Myles Garrett was there at A&M.
Yeah, they had those 4 second-half sacks. It was crazy. Good teams become great teams through grit. And whatever happened at halftime, whatever was said, but there was a decision that was made by those players that enough was enough. And for my money, this Texas A&M team, I have more respect for them now for what they did after playing like that and coming back in the second half than if they had blown South Carolina out. We sat here on this very desk and said that Indiana went from a contender to the favorite because they passed that test of the mettle, of the grit, of being at your best when your best was needed. And it was dominant in that second half. The ability to be able to flush whatever happened before it and concentrate on the task at hand is extremely rare. We watched Texas A&M do that today, and they are a much more dangerous team as a result.
No
The
doubt.
social team at A&M made a bold decision as well. When they were down 30-3 at the half, they put on X. There will be a second half, even with the scoreboard 30-3. Let's see how we got there.
That was clairvoyant.
Yeah, and South Carolina, man, they've been in so many close games, and it seemed like this was not going to be close, and it was going to be their win. Vandrevius Jacobs hauling it in from Lenoris Sellers, and then this happened.
That was second on the list for your name. They went with Adam, though. And then Dylan Stewart here getting to the quarterback, forcing the fumble, and his big fella Nick Barrett does the rest in the end zone, Coach.
20-3 at this point.
Yeah, Nick Harbour showing why he was such a top recruit. Look at him going to hyperspeed.
Wow.
Getting to the house. Kind of a weird thing happening right here.
Yeah, so he goes up the tunnel. His teammates are with him. And then collision with a Texas Department of Public Safety trooper.
Yeah, he was looking for a fight, that cop.
There he was.
He was relieved of his game day duties at that point. And then back on the field, still the turnovers for A&M were plaguing them in that first half.
Second one for Swain there.
Yeah, Vicari Swain, and he's a great returner as well. So 30-3 was the halftime score, AT, and then Marcel Reed starts going to work.
But this is what's so impressive is that after throwing an interception, you come back like that and you throw a dime, and then Nate Burtikacher gets this ball right here. He settled himself down. It was not easy for me to say it all right there. But that's the poise that we're talking about. They didn't fall apart. They just kept chipping away and executing. And it's the largest comeback in school history. And Mike Elko is worthy of every dollar that they gave him in that extension.
They had a chance to make that an 8-point game late in the deal. They ended up having another turnover in the second half there. But that gave the defense a chance to play hero. They went out there and said, no, we're shutting these guys down. A phenomenal effort. Give Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks all kinds of credit for going and playing a whale of a game. But they're on a plane right now going, what the heck just happened?
I'm going to tell you what the heck just happened. You couldn't finish the drill. That's what happened. That's why their team's sitting there 1-7 in conference, because they cannot finish the drill. This was all about Texas A&M. You have them in a stranglehold. You have to finish the job. And they could not do that. They could not convert third downs in the second half. They got the one turnover you just mentioned, did nothing with it. You had plenty of time on the clock to go down the field and possibly kick a game-winning field goal. all credit goes to Texas A&M Aggies and what they were able to overcome in this ball game. This is huge, and they're going to party like it's 1999 because you have Samford coming up. Don't disrespect Samford.
So you're telling me
win.
maybe it's good Mike Elko hadn't put all the signatures there. Now he can get another zero.
They might have to put another zero in front of that decimal point after this comeback.
I just want to know what he said at halftime. What do you think he said at halftime?
We'll find out.
That we're not out of this. I think because that was gloom, despair, and agony at the halftime of that deal. I mean, nothing had gone right. But he just reminded everybody, if we just do what we're capable of doing and go out there and handle our business, realizing there's no margin for error any longer, we can get ourselves right back in this game. And all of a sudden, it literally happened in the exact way in which he kind of predicted it would happen. And all of a sudden, you got a bunch of believers in that locker room now.
Yeah, they had some early success to start the second half, got a touchdown right away. The defense starts making plays. Now all of a sudden you start getting some confidence and some swag back. And Mike Elko, I know, is a pretty straight shooter. He's a man of few words. There's probably some expletives, maybe some chairs thrown. But in a situation like that, there's only so much a coaches can do. These players had to step up and make their mind up that they're done, sick and tired of playing like that. They know what's at stake, and instead of having battered Aggie syndrome, which this fan base is used to having, they now finally have a team that they can believe in, and the Aggies are dangerous.
They've had rough Novembers.
Yeah, what you just described is leadership. And when you get a team that can go in there and hold each other accountable, Mike Elko shouldn't have to say anything.
Agreed.
I've got guys in here who are going to hold their teammates accountable. That's when you know you're cooking with gas, and you can go out and you can climb and battle that steep hill all the way to the best comeback win ever. And I think that's what really happened. And once we get the info from what was said in that locker room, I think it's gonna go back and point to a lot of players holding their teammates, holding their butts to the fire.
And I wonder what Marcel Reed might have said himself, because he had a really bad first half. He came in top 5 in the Heisman odds. Accountability, right?
Pointed at himself.
Nearly 300 passing yards in that second half.
You're going to get my best in the second half. And there it was. 16 for 20 for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, a remarkable performance by him in the second half. What he has to realize is what happened in the first half and how do I make sure that never happens.
But it wasn't just him. It was the receivers. Casey Concepcion, we saw in the first half dropping passes. Like, well, that's different. We haven't noticed that.
He also broke up an interception.
Mario Craver, their leading receiver. Same thing with him. Drops in the first half, then everything came together in that second frame.
-9 rushing yards in the first half. That offensive line wasn't moving anybody. They weren't moving dudes off their spot. They were giving up pressure. It was a problem across the board. Everybody had a terrible half.
Yeah.
I don't know if people fully appreciate just how hard it is to have a half over half like that as a team. But for Marcel Reed, like we get up here and we mush out the word and we're like, dang, man. And it sticks with you. Being able to flush that and concentrate, take it play after play, down after down, situation after situation, takes an incredible amount of discipline, an incredible amount of a focus, an incredible amount of mental fortitude. And hats off to him and the rest of that team because they all had to do a version of that in their own way collectively. And they're undefeated and sitting at the top of the mountain right now as a result.
I think they're on their way to their first ever SEC championship game.
Oh, they're going to say they're going to win the national championship. You feel better about
No, I ain't going to say that.
Mm.
They get Samford, and then they have your alma mater, Texas.
Yes.
And then they're looking as good as anybody to head to Atlanta.
Well, before we start mush-mouthing anything else, let's...
Let me speak for myself.
Fight.
Speak for me in that category.
Gig 'em.